Cavalier Poets is a broad description of a school of English poets of the 17th century who came from the classes that supported King Charles I during the English Civil War. Charles needed these poets to create that which he craved, fine arts. These poets in turn grouped themselves with the king and his service, thus becoming Cavalier Poets. Initially known as a mountain soldier or a knight, a cavalier was portrayed as royster and gallant, but the term was applied differently to those who supported Charles. The purpose of this term was to belittle and insult. However, it became the term to which those who supported Charles was applied. They were separate in their lifestyle and divided on religion from the Roundheads, who supported Parliament consisting of Puritans.
Cavalier poetry aims to express the joy and simple gratification of things much livelier than traditional poetry does. The works of the poets were mostly praising King Charles I. Also, Cavaliers spoke against Roundheads because the Roundheads supported Parliament. Not only did Cavaliers want to express their loyalty to the king, but they wanted to show that they wanted to be the best in the society. The most well-known Cavalier poets are Ben Jonson, Robert Herrick, Richard Lovelace, and John Suckling. Ben Jonson was a larger man with boundless energy and enormous courage. Ben Jonson became a friend as well as a rival of Shakespeare. A classical scholar and a veteran soldier, an astute critic and a brassy talker, Jonson was most recognized as an influential judge of literature. As a child, Jonson worked for his stepfather, a bricklayer, while attending the equivalent of high school under a private tutor. Too poor to study at a university, Jonson joined the army and fought in the wars of Dutch independence from Spain. Despite becoming a major dramatist as an actor on stage, Jonson was so successful in his poetry that he was granted a handsome pension by King James I and treated as if he were a poet laureate of England.
Robert Herrick went to Cambridge and graduated at the age of 29. After his graduation, he served as a military captain and was assigned to a parish in rural England. Herrick was a religious man, therefore he performed his churchly duties and wrote many religious verses and musical love poems. Although Herrick was not politically active, he was evicted from his parish by the Puritans and allowed back only with the restoration of Charles II. During his time, Herrick's light verses were ignored. However, these verses are highly regarded today.
Born into an extremely wealthy family, Richard Lovelace was the handsome favorite of Charles I and very much supported the king. Lovelace was so attractive that the king and queen ordered that he be granted a master's degree before he completed his studies at Oxford. Lovelace was, however, also very talented. While at Oxford, he wrote a play, painted pictures, and played several instruments. Lovelace was chosen by the royalists to demand of Parliament the restoration of the king's authority. He was immediately arrested, and after his release from prison, he rejoined Charles's forces and spent most of his fortune equipping the king's army. Upon Charles's defeat in 1645, Lovelace went to France and fought against Holland. Returning to England several years later, Lovelace was again imprisoned by the Puritans. No one knows for certain how his life ended, but it is believed that he died in discouragement and poverty.
John Suckling lived a very romantic life. A privileged young courtier, Suckling inherited his vast estates when he was only 18. He also served as a gentleman in Privy Chamber of Charles I. He was praised as the cleverest of conversationalists. Apparently, he was able to compose a poem at a moment's notice. Suckling's military exploits, however, proved less successful than his poems. When his troop was defeated in Scotland, he was mocked for caring more about his man's uniforms than about their military performance. After joining a failed Cavalier plot to rescue a royal minister from prison, he fled to France, where he died in despair at the age of 33.